September the 22nd, 2024. As you're looking at the satellite images of the Caribbean right now, it is 1:17 p.m. as I'm starting this video, and that's Central Time. In the video last night, remember, we were seeing the tops of these clouds get pulled off to the northeast like that, but the underlying motion was moving into the Gulf. Same pattern here, and what happened, as I looked at the infrared images earlier today from last night, that as the tops of the clouds cooled off and you had that upper level shear, it pulled a lot of the moisture north and up over Cuba. But now, again, 1:17 now p.m., the sun's right over this area. It's one of my Huskies in there playing, and we're dealing with over 100 degrees right now as far as heat index. So things are heating back up. The one thing I've noticed is the size of it. We had a couple of disorganized bands here, and then the main section of the storm was here. But it looks like now, here's Jamaica and Cayman Islands. It looks like to me all of this is reforming. What has happened, it's very warm in this bathtub that you call the Caribbean Sea in this part of September. And it's sitting there, just building up storm after storm, and they're starting to move in different directions. You see this section right here. See, that's moving down. That's where your rotation gets started good. But it's starting to wrap around, and again, I think it's just getting bigger. We can't take our eyes off of it. Now, let's back out for a moment. You can see the shear, just like we saw it yesterday afternoon, moving to the north and northeast. But once you get into the Gulf of Mexico itself, you're starting to see the shear. There's not a lot of tall clouds, but you can see the ones that are tall enough to go into the blue. That's your higher category. And notice they're kind of in a neutral phase right here. And a lot of the motion on the surface is moving towards Texas. So right now it's just about too early to tell exactly where it's going to go, but we are going to look at the models. Now from the National Hurricane Center, this has been out about 22 minutes. This system earlier today, and I think last night also, it came out and kind of had a big round balloon top, as if, you know, they weren't certain where it was going to go, somewhere in that cone. But now we're starting to see a bend due north. We're still seeing some of that movement on the surface, moving straight into Texas. So it's going to be kind of a battle on what happens here. But the stronger the storm gets after it comes out of the Caribbean, the more it will control its own destiny, because it can control that weather close to it. Now let's look at the forecast. It says for the northwestern Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico, disorganized showers and thunderstorms located over the northwestern Caribbean Sea and portions of Central America are associated with a broad area of low pressure. Again, that's what we're seeing in the tub there, the big bathtub. Environmental conditions appear favorable for development of the system, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is likely to form during the next few days while moving northward across the northwestern Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico. Regardless of development, this disturbance is expected to produce heavy rains over portions of Central America during the next several days. Interest in the northwestern Caribbean, Yucatan Peninsula, western Cuba should closely monitor the progress of this feature. Later this week, the system is forecast to move generally northward and across the Gulf of Mexico. And interest along the northern and northeastern Gulf Coast should also monitor the progress of this system. And that's why they're showing this turn. Now first, let's look at the Canadian model. Storm setting here in the Caribbean. We'll play it forward. One thing I've noticed is it doesn't cross the Yucatan. It comes right through the gap as far as the center of circulation, the strongest part of the storm. Watch it again, and we'll put a kind of look at the timing. Showing another storm here, but notice this area of green, that's a bend in the high pressure. Just about anything that comes through this area is going to be turned northward. Again, right here, we're going to look at the timing. Play it forward. Coming into the Gulf right there, we'll say the 25th. Today's the 22nd. Let's just step it forward from there. 26th. 26. It's moving fast in there. It's an elongated storm according to this model. But once it comes through here and gets into this warmer water, all bets are off on what it's going to do before that. keep going forward with it. Notice that loop. It's being curved around here and then actually pushed back by this high pressure. Another storm is forming here. Much more concerned about it than the system that I think is going to go into the North Atlantic. Now, if this thing becomes a tropical depression, we may start getting some spaghetti line models and some more timing and different information like that. But this is the GFS model. By the way, the Navy model is still stuck on the 11th when Francine was in the Gulf. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let's play this forward one time. Notice it's matching the Canadian model in a few things. One is both of it showing the center of circulation shooting the gap between Yucatan and Cuba. Play it forward. Comes into the Gulf on the 25th. Just step it through from here. 26th. It's moving fast because it comes ashore on the 26th from all the way down here. 27th, it's already come ashore, a lot of this area. So you can pretty much count on it being very wide, not just a large storm, but very wide at the center where the hurricane force winds will be. Step it forward. 27th, still in the 27th, guys. It's already up into Georgia. 28th, more than likely a tropical low pressure system here over Tennessee at that point, very close to the Memphis area. Hope you need the rain because it looks like we're going to get a good bit of it. And I hope that areas that really need it the most get it too. Also, some people get left out. We did almost all last year. It looked like storm was coming at us, guys, and it split. One would go south and one would go north. Many days I saw that. It's been the opposite this year, and I'm very happy about that. Now let's take a look at the European model, guys. It's coming into a line with the Canadian model and the GFS in certain ways, and that is the shooting the gap, and that's where it's going to either make it through as a stronger storm or slow it down going over land. But let's just step this forward because it moves so fast. The weather models are set up almost a day at a time in the changes. Look, it's approaching the Yucatan here. Almost makes it through. Very close to the GFS and the Canadian models. So check that out. We'll keep going through. Notice that's on the 26th. Here on the 27th, again, it's spanning days. It's coming much closer to this section of Florida than the other ones. Notice that. I'll just step it one more time. And it jumps so far. It looks like it probably gets real close to Florida, then gets this northern turn. I'll play it all the way at its normal speed, but you'll see how fast it moves. Check this out. Let it come back through the gap. Again, brushes Florida right there. And back up in here. Same thing's happening. See the high pressure right there has forced this down. That means any of the secondary storms that we're seeing coming out of the Caribbean, they're going to be guided by this pressure. That could very easily put the next ones into Mexico or Texas. Just depends on how this sets up. But guys, we're watching it. You watch it. You'll get the updates. I waited today until I started to see if this thing was going to reorganize or not. But we may have more important updates later tonight if this thing starts to form a tropical depression. Again, it's a heads up. Be safe.